Hey there, welcome back to Better Humanhood. It's been a few months, but we are back. Every time we start and stop and restart, we welcome back to Better Humanhood. We are back this time for good. We've got a few episodes scripted out in the can, so we are off to a running start. I know we've had some fits and starts and false restarts with this show. I'm sorry for that, but we have direction. And today we're going to restate our purpose and we're going to talk about why. If you're watching the video of this, if you see me looking down at all, you'll notice that I am actually reading off an outline. So we are more planned than we have been in the past. This is a restatement of purpose. I know we did a statement of purpose for episode 0, but we've refined that. And I want to tell you about Marlena. Marlena Daria Shear was born to us Christmas Eve 2018. And one of my reasons for doing this, for doing the podcast, for doing a lot of writing, is to leave a legacy of a better world. And hopefully, she will be part of that better world that, as she gets older and she learns the person that she's going to become, will leave the world a little better. We're not raising a baby, we're raising a future adult. One of the things that we've learned a lot along the way is that there's so much kindness and generosity in this world. It was funny listening to Big Questions by Cal Fussman. It was one of the first, it was the first podcast we listened to a few days after Marlena came home from the hospital. I took a picture of her listening and posted it on Instagram, because new dads do silly stuff like that. And a couple of weeks later, Cal introduced the episode. He opened it like he always does. Welcome to Big Questions. But this time it was welcome to Big Questions, Marlena. And he went on to wish her a lifetime of stories. And he played an old recording of an interview with George Clooney. And it was super sweet. But that was just, one example of kind of celebrity generosity. He had one of his sponsors send along a super soft blanket that she wears everywhere. The sponsor is Sportique. We might as well give them a little shout. But beyond the kind of celebrity generosity, just people from the neighborhood stop by with stuff. We've had somebody from my wife's work through a shower, and then a week later we had a surprise shower from another group that we hang out with socially. They said, they told me it was coming. They said, make sure she comes this week. And we did. And there were, it's just been it's been eye-opening, because one of the things that you see if you stare at your computer and your phone long enough is a lot of anger and a lot of distrust. And people are really, really kind when it comes down to dealing with them actually in person. So I'm here to help build a better world by building better people. We have to live on this planet. We have to do it with others. We're not living here alone. Are there too many of us? Maybe. Maybe there are, but that's okay. We're at where we're at. But I know it's not good to be a Michael Jackson fan right now, but this is a Man in the Mirror podcast. Okay. We're starting with us. We hope that you'll start with you. Hey, we're learning as we go along. We're doing the best we can with what we got. I'm not perfect, and I'm learning this stuff as I go. And I'm sharing my work. And hope you'll come along for the ride. This show is for you if you are, or if you want to be, or if you want others to be smarter, more curious, more creative, happier, healthier, more disciplined, more productive, and kinder and more empathetic. And we're going to, especially in some of these early episodes, we're going to do a lot on empathy. I've been doing a lot of research on it, and that's partly what we're going to be. And by the way, I'm going to keep slurping my coffee the way I used to. One of the things we are going to do is a lot of research. We're going to talk science. We're going to talk morality. We're going to argue for everything we believe. And we're going to back it up with objective research, not just I'm not out here looking for confirmation bias. I am out here finding out where I'm wrong or where I might be wrong, and trying to steelman arguments instead of straw man them. This is part of a growing movement. For the past few years, Post Secret and Humans of New York have both been big blogs. Ryan Muncie, who wrote Fuck Your Feelings, is doing the Better Human Project. The writer Douglas Rushkoff, who basically is one of the reasons that Manhattan is Manhattan. Particularly the artistic part that is kind of fading out of Manhattan because the artists can't afford it anymore. Recently wrote Team Human, and if you're watching the video, I'm just holding up the book that he wrote. Katarina Fake has a podcast out called Should This Exist? Looking at technology. And we're going to look at technology and future of work and future of education, future of healthcare, future of health. There's so many ways for us to be unhealthy. Go to the grocery store. It's not far. You'll see all the ways that you could be unhealthy, but there are so many ways for us to do better. And there's so much research going on into little things, to make our lives just a little bit better here and a little bit better there and a little bit better there. Some of the things we're going to talk about, we will get political. And the next episode, we're going to talk politics. We're going to talk about, this early, the early 2020 election season that has kicked off, and how to talk about that, not as a Republican or a Democrat or as a supporter or a contrarian, but as a person, and how to talk to people about that instead of just talking to Facebook, and how to listen to people instead of just taking your information off the television and then spitting that out back into what you think is a conversation when really it's a lecture that you absorbed and you're just giving it again. Those are not the conversations I'm interested in having. I'm interested in having actual conversations. If you want to know where I stand politically, I tend to be pro-people. I tend to be generally anti-establishment. Whoever's in power, I think, is typically there because they're trying to screw with us. Just more power for them. And we'll talk next episode about. We'll talk next episode really about what I think governments should be. But know that my favorite people in the world have tried to invent their own systems. Ben Franklin, Leonardo da Vinci, Richard Feynman, Bucky Fuller, those kinds of people. If you want to look back in the history of U.S. leaders, Teddy Roosevelt was probably my favorite president. He was a Republican who founded Park System and did a lot of stuff that's outside the rules. He's the first president to have a black visitor to the White House by invitation, but he also brought in a boxing ring to the White House. A bit of a crazy dude who wasn't much for rules. Here's what I want from you. First off, I want to have conversations. So if you go over to betterhumanhood.com and you clicked on connect, if you click on contact, the contact page, you'll find a form. If you click on connect, you'll find a Facebook page, a Facebook group. Facebook group's just getting started. There's only a couple of us in there, but we want to have conversations. We want to grow this. The other thing I want to do is have you call me on my bullshit. If I say something, but you see me acting differently, or if I say things week to week that seem to be opposed to each other, I want you to call me on it. I need to hear that because, like I said, I am trying to get better at this and to be a better human. And I'm just making it up as I go along, just like we all are. This is all a matter of discovery. Other thing I'm going to ask of you, particularly if you're going to do things like call me a bullshitter, to be honest. So I'm going to be honest with you, as honest as I can. I don't know that I'm going to come out here super vulnerable. That's not generally who I am. The other thing that I will promise here is that we will release weekly. We're going to come out at least in audio weekly. We will try to do a video, at least for these solo shows. I'm not going to impose that on guests. If we do some interviews, we'll ask them if they mind, because we're going to be looking at each other anyway most of the time, and we will do some interviews. If you want to have a discussion on the show, get in touch. If you have somebody you want to hear, I'm not going to get on. Well, I'm not at a point where we're going to get A-list folks. We're not going to have the Jocko Willings and the David Goggins is on, but I also don't want to have on people who have been on 30 shows and said the same thing, because I want to learn from them. There's plenty of stuff out there to listen to, and you don't want to come here and just hear the same thing you heard in 20 other places. So I hope to give you something different. So I'm going to restate that purpose one more time. We're here so we want people smarter, more curious, more creative. We want people happier, healthier, more disciplined, more productive, and finally, and probably most importantly, kinder and more empathetic. And you see behind me, I've got not just words written on my whiteboard. That's another of the things that we are trying to do. We talked about this on the JKWD podcast. It's the Josh and Kelvin World Domination. It's a podcast I do every week with Kelvin Ringgold. Make sure you're listening to that. But way back, in episode 30, we did an episode called Not Just Words, where we wanted to remind ourselves that these things we say aren't just for saying. They don't die at the end of the sentence, the end of the next breath. These are things that we should live with, and we should live, and they should be our actions. And we want that for you too. So I hope you have a wonderful day. I hope you have a wonderful week. We'll see you next time. Be who you are and who you will to be.